It was a crisp autumn evening when everything in my life changed. My mother, the heart and soul of our small family, passed away suddenly. No warning. No goodbyes. I remember the phone call vividly, my father trying to speak through his tears, but the words couldn't reach me in time. I'd been dancing my whole life, but suddenly the studio and rehearsals felt empty, pointless. Without her, it felt like the world was upside down. My dreams of becoming a dancer, performing on grand stages, felt like a distant echo of a life I couldn't touch. My mother's death left me with no choice but to live with my father, whom I hadn't seen in years. He lived in a different part of town, a neighborhood known for its diverse communities. It wasn't where I had grown up. It was a place where I felt like a stranger, like a piece of me was still lost in the world I used to know. His apartment was small, functional, but cold. He tried to make things right between us. We never talked about why he left us all those years ago, but there was an unspoken understanding. Maybe I wasn't ready to forgive, but I was willing to try. The change didn't stop at moving in with my father. I was transferred to a new school, one where I didn't know anyone, where I wasn't one of the familiar faces. It was a challenge, to say the least. I was one of the few foreigners in the class, and that made me feel even more out of place. But then I met Claire. She was loud and funny, full of energy, and she didn't judge me. She didn't care about the fact that I was different. She just accepted me. Claire took me under her wing, showing me the ropes of this strange new world, and I slowly started to feel like I wasn't just a guest in someone else's life. Claire showed me parts of the city I never thought I'd see, places that were so different from my own life back home. She introduced me to her friends, many of whom were local, and soon I found myself laughing and joking with them. I even started to pick up the language and the culture, little by little. It wasn't just about fitting in anymore. It was about finding a place where I could truly be myself. With Claire, I wasn't a grieving girl or a dancer with broken dreams. I was just a friend. Then there was Julian, Claire's older brother. I'd known about him, but I hadn't really paid much attention to him before. He wasn't just Claire's big brother. He was this quiet, steady presence. A few years older than me, Julian was different from everyone else. He was calm, thoughtful, and had a way of making people feel at ease. One evening, we ended up talking while Claire was busy with her own friends. The conversation was easy, like we had known each other forever. Julian made me feel like I could share the pieces of my life that I had kept hidden, and I found myself opening up to him in a way I hadn't with anyone else. There was something about him that made my heart race, something more than just friendship. And I knew then, I was beginning to fall for him. As days passed, the feelings I had for Julian grew stronger, but so did the confusion. I had just started to rebuild my life, and now there was this pull between my past and my future. Julian, however, wasn't just a guy I had a crush on. He was someone who understood the hurt I was carrying. He didn't push me, didn't ask for anything. He was there, simply offering his presence. But it wasn't that simple. I was afraid to admit it, to confront what was growing between us. I feared what it might mean, how it might change everything. And what if I wasn't enough for him? One afternoon, we found ourselves alone in the park. I was sitting on a bench, staring at the sky, when Julian approached. His footsteps were light on the grass, and when he sat down beside me, I could feel his warmth, even though the air was cool. "You ever think about your mom?" he asked softly. I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. "All the time. Sometimes it feels like she's right here, like I can still hear her laughing, telling me what to do." Julian's hand rested gently on my shoulder. "You know, I lost my mom when I was younger. It's never easy, but you carry them with you, every day." And then something shifted in the air between us. It was like the moment where everything becomes clear, where feelings can no longer be denied. But love, or whatever this was between Julian and me, didn't come without complications. I could see the hesitation in his eyes. I wasn't just a stranger in this world. I was an outsider, and we both knew it. My father had his own past with this city, and Julian's family was everything to him. It wasn't just about us anymore. There were boundaries, unwritten rules, and my fears about not fitting in, not being enough, kept me up at night. Could we make this work? Could we find a way to belong together? It was late one evening when I finally admitted the truth to Julian. We were sitting at the edge of the river, watching the city lights reflect in the water. "Julian," I said, my voice trembling, "I think I'm falling for you." He looked at me, and for a long moment he didn't say anything. But then he took my hand and squeezed it gently. Sarah, I felt the same way. I just didn't know if it was the right time, or if you felt the same. I smiled through the tears that threatened to spill. In that moment, the weight of my fears, my doubts, seemed to melt away. It wasn't going to be easy. There would be challenges ahead, no doubt. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had found a place to belong. Julian and I, we weren't perfect, but we were real. And together, we could figure out the dance of our lives. And so, with every step I took, with every move I made, I knew that I wasn't just dancing to forget the past. I was dancing to embrace a future that was finally within reach. Ready to improve your English in a fun and engaging way? Start learning through stories today. Subscribe to Learn with Godson and dive into captivating stories that will help you expand your vocabulary, understand sentence structures, and practice pronunciation. Stories make learning English exciting and memorable. Join us on this journey and watch your language skills grow with each story. The voiceover in this video is given by Learn with Godson. Copying or re-uploading is prohibited.